Back with our panel. Joe Biden was asked about that test remark earlier today, and here's what he said.
No, I don't regret the comment. Every new president is tested, Democrat or Republican. I don't know where John's been the last 20 years, number one. Number two, I've watched Barack Obama. I've tested his mettle. I've seen him. He's ready to handle any crisis. And based upon the major crisis we've had, he's been right and John's been wrong.
Christopher, is he right?
Well, I repeat, he's right to say that, and it's ridiculous of the Republicans to say, and it's self-evidently absurd for them to say, what crisis, what challenge, as if such a thing could only happen if you voted for a Democrat. Do they not, the rest of the time, tell us that it's a very dangerous world out there, that we have Putin, Ahmadinejad, Al-Qaeda in Mesopotamia, Hezbollah and China, and not to say Burma, Zimbabwe, various other challenges? Of course, yes. Of course, yes. Biden is right, and the Republicans have yet again shown how unfit and irresponsible they are by saying that it isn't a correct thing to say.
Bay?
Well, listen to what he said exactly. Biden made it very, very clear that there is no question, it's guaranteed that if Obama gets in the first 6 months, we are going to have a major international crisis. That is not what is being said about McCain. We all can say there's likely something bad could happen, but with Obama, it's guaranteed because he is absolutely inexperienced. Biden has said it this last year. He knows as well as everyone else the man has no resume, and they are going to test him. Now the voter has to decide, is it worth the risk?
Guys, what are you talking about? Testing. We are being tested. There is the combating of terrorism, but there is also a crisis here at home. You have millions of people losing their homes. If you don't call this a crisis which will test the next leader and is already testing.
No, Katrina, come on, Katrina. That's not what Biden was talking about.
The argument that we're going to be tested by a future crisis. Any president will come in and face a calamitous situation at home and in the world. 2 wars, an economy cratering, millions of people out of work, pain metastasizing through the system. That is not a crisis.
And Katrina,
what would constitute a crisis?
You make the point we should not choose somebody without any experience whatsoever.
I think the country is choosing with their polls and the numbers.
Terry?
Yeah, my guess is that most people aren't thinking about whether or not Barack Obama is going to be tested. I think people want change, and it seems to me that there's so little that we've had as a discussion about the substance of it. It seems like most people are protesting the bad times with their vote, and that bothers me a little bit, because it doesn't seem like we're making a serious decision about who's going to run the country, and with what basic ideas and tools that they'll use to get us back on our feet.
Look, can I try and make this easy? John McCain is getting older by the day in front of all of us. And he's already had quite a grave illness. And this could happen at any moment, and then, while he was incapacitated, Sarah Palin would be the President of the United States. Anyone fancy challenging the United States at that moment? Don't you think that that would be a golden opportunity for anyone to want to challenge us? Don't the Republicans succeed only in reminding us of the utter irresponsibility of their campaign?
I don't understand why Sarah Palin is a bitter...
With this cretinous advertisement of that.
It's a pleasure to agree with my former colleague Christopher Hitchens.
I'm baffled by
it's precisely for this reason. It's precisely for this reason you can't vote.
But Christopher, I just wanted to say, in addition to the good points you made about her contempt for science, which I think is very serious in the 21st century, and her religious extremism, which I know how much that must drive you crazy. You must look at this discussion. You must look at this talk of who is a real American, who is a pro-American, who is an anti-American, and
Katrina,
fear for your country. Because I think this is the ugliness, toxicity that this system cannot afford at this point. And you talk about change and big issues, big elections. We need that.
Do you think McCain would change his vice president right now if he could?
Absolutely not. Do you know that I don't,
well, what
this woman has done is remarkable. She may indeed be the smartest decision he has made in this entire campaign. You know, Larry, the first rule of thumb is you can't win a general election if you come out of your convention without a united party. She took care of that in an afternoon. And we were winning this election for the next 3 weeks. There's only one thing that caused this to collapse. It cost us 10 points, and we haven't recovered, and that's the economic crisis we're all facing. It's only that has caused to put us back.
Plus about a dozen.
Let me get a break and we'll be right back. We'll be right back,
Party's
Christopher.
best
Hold it. We'll be right back. Don't go away. We have a blog from Robin. I'll address it to Terry Holt. Do you think that McCain has spent too much time bashing Obama, and that's why he's losing the race?
Well, Barack Obama has flooded this country with millions of dollars in television ads. If anybody's used the big, hammer on anyone, it's Barack Obama's $150 million that's been spent on primarily negative advertising against John McCain in state after state after state. The fact of the matter is, John McCain is behind at this point. He does have to make stark differences known to the American people so that the American people can make a serious choice about who'll be president.
Christopher, do you dislike this campaign?
Yes, very much. And this kind of extremely low cultural level, as was shown today by the unbelievable stupidity of anyone in any campaign calling this obvious racist psycho woman in Pittsburgh. Just appalling that anyone would rush to try and get on the right side of that when all it took was a couple of minutes. Reflection. I just did not know till this moment passed that the GOP had such a rooted objection to well-financed advertising campaigns that this was completely new.
I mean, I'm just responding
to the blogger. It was worth coming all the way here tonight to find out that this is true.
And your sarcasm is appreciated, but what I'm trying to say is that both campaigns have been painting very dark pictures of each other.
I don't think anyone says that Obama's been as negative.
If you're looking for a quantifiable difference, the quantity of advertising, it's an ocean of money that's flowing over this country, and it's mostly negative ads directed at John McCain. John McCain didn't have enough money to compete with Barack Obama. That's how it is.
I disagree a little, again, with my former colleague Christopher Hitchens, because I think the low level, the demonization, the fear-mongering in this campaign has been ugly to watch, but there has been something exciting, which is the mobilization of millions of people, young people, people of color who were out of this political process, have come into it. And it has been, as far as our democracy goes, an inclusive process. And I think that there has to be an understanding that there is a party which doesn't want too many people to vote, and a party which wants millions to vote.
And
I think the talk about voter fraud is an effort to divert attention from voter suppression, which is going on.
You know, in Florida, for example, it wasn't the Democrats who made it possible for early voting. It was Jeb Bush, a Republican, who made it possible for people, hundreds of thousands of them in this election cycle, to vote early. It's an absurd and
the Republican state legislature has made it very difficult.
Republicans don't want people to vote. If that were the case, then we wouldn't have spent millions of dollars getting people to the polls. The reason why Republicans have been able to win elections
is
because we motivate people to the polls.
Discussion. Thanks, guys. Terry Holt, Katrina Vanden Heuvel, Christopher Hitchens, and Babe Buchanan. Hey.